Hey, how's it going, everybody? I was watching some recorded versions here, like from the last couple streams, and I don't. It's probably just because it's me, but like it's so weird. It goes from the "Hey, we're starting soon" screen to like "Hey, it's me. I'm just talking real quick." I want to say there's a nice way to just transition into it. Anyway, how's it going, everybody? We're gonna be streaming maybe for like an hour and a half tonight. I want to get the flats done. My goal was to finish everything, the colors, most importantly. But I had some life stuff I had to take care of. That finally just wrapped away. Ate, a little. The worst part of it is it's like I had to do some waiting around, waiting for these people to show up. So I could draw, but then I couldn't because I always had to go out and check and all this crap. Doesn't matter. Anyway, we're finally able to get back into it, and let me turn the text off here, and we can get into some art here. So, like I say, we're just doing the flats tonight. We'll go for about an hour and a half. We'll see how it goes. Hey, buddy, how's it going, man? Just make sure I got everything going here. Okay, cool. I also got some of, or all of the streams all updated. So over the next few days, I'll be. Jesus, the cats are everywhere. I'll be putting a video out every now and then. Also, over the weekend, or was it the weekend, or it was a few days ago, earlier this week, I think maybe. My days are all just turning into the same day over and over again. uh, Actually, let me try something here. Anyway, the Gwen Stacy that we did together. I have two versions that'll be going up. So I'm just trying to find where his shadow is. That's what we want. We want that gone. So we've got the longer version, which I think was like an hour and a half or something like that. Uh, that one's going up, and then I did like a narrated sped up version as well. Those will go up. I think I'm gonna put them up Saturday. Saturday we'll see. So you guys can check those out too. Hey Troy, hey Nathan, how are you guys doing? Yeah, sorry about the stream last night. My internet just died. I restarted my router, everything. I just couldn't fix anything. It just wouldn't come back. So no matter what I did, I was like, well, of course. But I was still able to record, even though the stream died, which is really cool from OBS, the streaming software I use. It can save a local version as you're going. So if your stream dies, which is great for YouTube, because if the stream dies, you still have a version there that when you upload, it's not like great, all that's gone, you know. So I added a little bit towards the end there. We were talking about perspective, so you guys will be able to see that soon. It wasn't anything too fancy, but it was just it's enough there that I don't know. I think some people get a kick out of it. Good afternoon. I wish it was afternoon. I'd get so much more time. How you doing, Nathan? Hey, hobbies. How's it going? So flats go pretty easy on this stuff, like I was saying yesterday, because I've already had to figure out all the color for these for the previous few pages. So it's mostly just like color grabbing. But I did realize the bottom panel is a silhouette shot, which is usually pretty simple. But the background color, I still have to figure something out for that. So it's going to add a little bit of time, not too much. I'm most likely just going to swipe a background from a previous page since they're going to be moving around and stuff. No, actually, I don't know if we've got. Oh, I did. Whew, good stuff. Do we have one that's the color we want? So see, so that's the flats for. Oh, I forgot those guys there. But right down here, we got like a planet and some stuff. So we're gonna add to that too. Hey Kareem, how's it going? I'm trying that. Oops, let me check. I always forget. I get paranoid when I look over. Okay, I just have to make sure that I'm always disciplined and I got the timer going. I'm trying what you suggested about working from comic book script archive, and I'm doing a Batman story. I'm surprised at how shit I am, but well, good. I'm glad you actually took my advice, and I hope it pays off for you. Uh, again, like what I just want to make sure that you understand, not that you don't or anything like that, but why can't I? What's going on? Let's see something. Um, that when you're going into doing whatever you're doing here for art and comics, especially. Hold on, one sec. Why can't I? All layers. Why can't I fill in it? That was weird. Anyway, okay. So when you're going in there, the best part about using like those scripts, or any script you find online, really, instead of coming up with your own, is you find out all your weaknesses like right away. Like if you end up just drawing everything you want to do, you won't push yourself. So even though, in my opinion, it's great to be able to do your own thing, kind of like the school of hard knocks, I guess, of working with other people, I think is a valuable thing to do. Even though in this case you're not working with anybody, it's already written. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you're going to learn so much about comics and stuff. And just please make sure that you don't draw. This is just my opinion on it, but don't draw the entire comic book as if it was like finished art. Like we were talking yesterday. Just do the breakdowns. That way you'll move through stuff quicker, and you'll still learn the exact same amount of stuff. There'll come a time when you'll want to spend a little bit of time and like make some polished pages, like for a portfolio or something, and that's all great. That will come for sure. But especially if you're just setting time aside to just practice your storytelling and all that, I think it's a great exercise. And especially when you just go right, or when you just only go to, what's it called there? Breakdowns, and you don't go any further. Because it's all learning, right? Like, arguably, to me anyway, when you learn anatomy, it's cool to learn how all the anatomy properly looks. But there's also like a major value in figuring out like a shorthand version to tell your anatomy as well. Because a lot of the time, anyway, I know 100% for me, I spent all this time trying to draw like pretty good anatomy, to be competent with anatomy and all that good stuff. But I found my first problem when all of a sudden everybody in the script, they weren't superheroes in spandex. They were regular people. The superheroes showed up for like maybe 20% of the comic, and I was like, oh wow, okay. And I would waste all this time drawing proper anatomy underneath clothes, and it was just like this. Ugh. It was just more work than it really ever had to be. So anyway, I'll get off that. But yeah, congratulations, man. I hope you get some great success out of it. And as long as it's like a huge learning curve for you too, that'd be great. I know. I got a feeling Jesop has good credit. I found recently that I prefer to work from plots because I don't like how many writers plan out panels. It's good. It's a good thing to find out about yourself for sure. I think a lot of people too. There's value in learning everything, right? Like trying to draw from plots and then trying to draw from like a script that tells you how many panels to do and stuff. Because you're never gonna know what it is that you like. I know a lot of people that they prefer with like a full written script, and like how I used to do it too. And it was fun. Is I got a brand new script for a comic to work on, and I would read the whole thing, and then I would read it again, trying to imagine it like a movie. It just made it easier for me to see it. And then I would make little notes, and then I would read it again and go, now that I know, it's like my second time watching the movie, even though it's my third time reading it. And it just made things, I don't know, it just made it cool, you know? Made it easy to sort of try to envision what the writer was thinking about, and then try to bring that to life. Wearing a tux, eh? At work? Oh, wish you all the best, my man. Alright, let's get this ground going here. So we've got this pinkish crap in the background. Getting a little sloppy here with my layering. I just want this to go quick. How does it look over there? Okay. Alright, this is where it's going to get a little tricky here. So what did I do with these panels? Everybody's got like pink around them here. Let's see what we can do. Let's see how this looks. I know it's not gonna. Oops. Yeah, we can't pick the same color here, so let's try to. That's weird. The reason why this isn't working well is because I have pink all in the background, and they got pink as well, right? Um, so if we go like really saturated, it's almost like white. No, that doesn't look good. It just blends with her. Maybe we go this way with it. Yeah, we'll try that. I don't want to spend too much time trying to fight this, because I'll be coming back once we go and we do our shadows, so I can see it then with like a fresh eye kind of thing. Just a lot of pink in these pages. A lot. also get the line art. Hey, Brain, how's it going? Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, let's get some sort of color going in this bottom panel. So the last place we saw these guys was here, and it was all sunny and stuff. I want to get back to those Momo colors when she's by herself. So I'm going to open that. Spoilers. Spoilers. Let's turn the text off. Let's turn all this off. Lag, lag, lag. And we'll turn these off. And panel 1, let's get our background. Copy. Okay, so this one. So I'm gonna paste it in here, but I'm gonna just do something here. If you guys remember, I use like these color balance layers, and what it does, in my opinion anyway, it it harmonizes a lot of the colors. So since I'm not using highlights and stuff, again, the main important part of this for me is that I can somehow mask that. And the thing is, when you're using panel 5, when you're using just flats all the time that are the same flat color, and I'm trying to be quick about it, so like instead of me going and thinking like, okay, these guys are in a red environment, so I have to change the flats to like a red hue, I kind of cheat it, I suppose, by adding that color balance layer that kind of puts it all together. Here's a good example, right? Like, so if you look at just these top panels here, right? Like, let's just look at this one. So we've got her floating around, right? And it works. There's nothing wrong with it, I don't think. Just trying to get it on screen. But her flats, meaning the color that she is, it's the same color in every single panel, even all the way down here. It's the same flat. I just changed the color of the shadow, and then this color balance layer, you toss that on, and it might look almost like pukish a little bit here, or a little maybe too intense of green. What it does is it adds, like, even to the rocks. Like if you look at the rocks, they're all a certain color. It all harmonizes well, but when you put that on there, in my opinion, it just sort of like brings it together, you know? Hey, Jonathan, how's it going? How are you, sir? So, we'll get that. I'm also going to get that color balance there. Put that there. Okay, so let's get this going here. And I'll show you guys super quick here what I'm talking about. So, if we've got this, let's just use this here. What color is that? Let's fill it in. And all this is I've just like taken the same gradient from a previous panel. That way everything's still the same. You know, like if they're in the same place, the colors still match up. That's on purpose. Maybe we can put like a little tilt to it. Just so that a lot of these places hopefully still feel the same. Bring that down like that. Right, so let's get this layer here. So if we turn this on, we click in here. I believe it's, what is it? We go fill everything with black, invert the selection, and then fill that with white. No, that's not right. I always forget. It's a little different here in Manga Studio. Alright, so let's select there, invert the selection, fill with black. Or you just press delete. That's what it was. So this way, just the green effects down here, and you can see right away what it does with the color. In this case, like look how like this is intense. This is super intense. but I think it looks pretty good once it's all done there. So I'm just gonna delete that. That way they've each got their own. Uh, like that's super red. I always look at that and it always felt weird, but like this has got the same thing on it. You know, like these are the flats, and then once we put that on there, bang. I don't know, looks good. And the reason why it's so intense here is, again, it's there. He's in like a mucus kind of sac, so it's like light kind of coming through. So there's a lot of like, if you imagine putting your hand, translucent light, I believe it's called, where you put your hand in like, or a balloon or something, and the light goes through the balloon and it affects all the color that's in there. At least that's what I'm telling myself. All right, let's get some planet colors here. We'll just go with like a yellowish. See how this stuff looks. Get this busted up planet. Maybe we can go this way. We'll have to wait for our shadow color here. I just don't want to forget, so let's pick this. We'll just put like a gross shadow color on there for now. Oops. Just so it washes that out a little bit. Cool. Okay. So the flats are done here, so I'm just going to save here. And that took. Just jump to the next page. Now this one's gonna get interesting because the camera shot I have is like outside looking in. So I'm gonna try something a little. I'm gonna call it creative. I don't know how it's gonna work. I'm going to put a gradient over top of it of the pink color, and it should blend it a little bit in towards the color that's already there. You'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see. All right, let's get Jesop's flats here. Hey, Pillowhead, how are you, man? Oh, you're taking a little rest? I hope your arm's not too brutal. Hey, no problem. Don't worry about spamming, man. Yeah, it would be sick to have Jesop's body, yeah? 10 feet tall, just straight muscle. I'm good. I'm good, man. What would you consider a breakdown, and how is it different opposed to a thumbnail? La 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 la. Okay, I'll show you guys actually this. I just posted this on Patreon. If you guys are interested in seeing more of this, I don't know. Like Patreon's just turning into a. If you like, I guess what Patreon should be. If you enjoy what I do and create, especially focus on Jesop King, then head on over there and you can get all kinds of updates like this. But I just this will actually get posted in a couple days. I don't know. So I guess you guys that are here, it's okay because I won't be releasing this for a while. Let me just find it right here. Yeah. So this is basically the process here, right? So for me anyway, this is the thumbnail for the page that was put out on Monday. Super rough. I just need ideas of rough idea of text possibly. And look, you can just see shapes of heads and stuff. This is the roughs and the build up. This took a little bit more time than what it looks like, but you can see like even this last panel, it's big time different, right? This panel here, the first one, she's a lot more closer, and just keep going like that, and then lines and ink. So this is the main difference between what I'm doing. For a thumbnail, I just need the idea down. Never ever consider structure. Thumbnail is basically composition. That's really it. Maybe like insinuating some like angles for the camera or something like that. But the breakdowns or roughs, whatever you like to call them, that's taking your thumbnails and making them bigger, blowing them up. Like a thumbnail should really only be something like this big, super small, so small that you can't actually get in there to do big work, and then increase that size, and then start tightening things up. Start like figuring like if you're doing thumbnails like large, consider those your roughs. Thumbnails should never be that big. If your thumbnail is that big, it's not a thumbnail. Okay? There's a reason why it's called a thumbnail, right? Thumb. Small, small. So just keep thinking that way. And if it's small, it's pretty tough to get some detailed work in there. Dude, I'm animating Jesop, and dude, seeing this character come to life is more amazing. Well, I'm excited to see it, man. Anyway, Kareem, I hope that answers your question there, man. If I wasn't clear, just let me know. I can see if I can present it in a little different way for you. I've missed you too, Madio. I've missed you too. Thanks for popping in, man. Okay, so those guys are all done. Let's go over panel 2 here. Daniel's asking, what age did you feel comfortable on your anatomy and style, and when did your character stop being stiff? Whew. Oh, man. I'm just going to spitball right now because I don't have the brain power right now to figure that out. And I mean that in a very polite way. I'm not trying to just dismiss your question. So I guess this kind of I need to go back in time a little bit just to bring this story back up a bit. So a lot of the time I used to just draw like anime or copy a lot of like American comics and this sort of stuff, but my art style was kind of a mix between anime and American style art, I guess you'd call it that, like comic superhero stuff. Nothing too drastic, mostly like anime stuff, video game things, like especially Street Fighter, Capcom art, like that style. I hadn't seen Joe Madureira artwork yet, okay? I'm not putting myself on his level at all. I'm just saying That's why when I came across his stuff like on Battle Chasers for the first time, blew my mind. It was a perfect harmony of art for me at the time. Okay. Anyway, so I was drawing like anime and stuff like that, and then I think it was probably I remember drawing a lot of anatomy. I was always interested in anatomy books. Just because I don't know. Like, look at Jesop here. He's just a mountain of muscle. I'm intrigued by muscle. It's interesting to me. So I would always look at that, and I was, I don't want to say this is the wrong way of thinking because everybody's different, but I always looked at American comics as like it was just all about anatomy. I never thought about storytelling. Storytelling wasn't ever something that popped in my head. Okay, so I was drawing my certain way, and I had a job at a gas station, and it was awesome. I had muscle mags everywhere that I could draw from. It was killer, man. It was great. As long as I was doing my job, like they didn't mind, which was really cool in hindsight, that they let me, or they were all right with me just drawing, like, work's getting done. I'm just standing at a gas pump or inside. People would pump their own gas, and I just had to make sure they paid. And even if they left, the cops would get involved. So you know what I mean. And then there's some cleaning and stuff. But anyway, I would grab muscle magazines, just draw muscle anatomy and all that stuff. And that's when I started trying to get a little bit more serious with it. Take myself, move away from the anime a little bit. And that's when a Marvel artist came in to get gas, and he flipped through my sketchbook. I was like, "Oh, hey, what are you trying to do?" And I said, "I want to work for Marvel DC." He's like, "Hey, come to my house, and I'll show you some stuff." I've told that story a whole bunch of times. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because that moment when I started going to his house and he started showing me other anatomy books to look at, like George Bridgman, Loomis especially. I was looking at like Bern Hogarth, who's very stylized. Just being around him and like how he worked, all of a sudden it was like my tastes changed. Not necessarily they didn't change because I was seeing all this artwork that didn't exist before, and I was just like, holy shit. They changed because I was watching somebody draw. And I was like, I can do that. Like, I felt confident, not in a nose up in the air or anything like that. Just I'm seeing. It's kind of like that's why I think today a lot of people, you guys are like a lot of people are super spoiled. If I'm streaming, or not just me, but like other more better artists than I, okay, whether they're streaming or they make like a here's a sped up version of me drawing video, right? Super spoiled because you can see what they're doing and mimic it if you like it, right? And it was just anyway that changed my whole attitude because I was looking at it. I was like, I never even considered being able to draw like shadow and lighting. I'd never want to put shadow on my characters. That stuff's scary. Because if I put shadow on my characters, like if I do it wrong, then there's no going back. And I don't want to spend all this time drawing and then ruin it by trying to put lighting and shadow on there, right? So I feel like I had to address just that because that does influence where I'm currently at, okay? So all of that was that, and now I would say probably maybe even like 10 years ago, I was very confident and comfortable in my style. There's some things that I couldn't draw very well, but I found ways to get around it and try to get better at it, which I think is true for any artist, no matter what you're doing. But I would say over the last 3 to 5 years, I've really just sort of like putting on a comfortable jacket, get nice and comfy. And Jesop King is like where I'm trying to go now with just the style. And just to reiterate your question, and when did your character stop being okay? So the style stuff, I would say, the last 3 or 5 years is when I've personally started getting super comfortable with what I produce, with the simple line style that I call it. Like this line stuff here, like this one's super shadow, but like this all here because I know I'm doing coloring, and even if I was doing Marvel or something, I would most likely send them stuff like this because the colors can really bring this to life, right? And that's how my mindset has changed with this stuff. Okay, so that's the comfortable stuff. As for the characters being stiff, that takes honestly, that takes a long, maybe not a long time. Everybody's different, but I find that if all you do is study anatomy, your shit's always going to be stiff. Cartoonists that study like cartoons or animation, they learn right off the bat. And I remember first year of animation, everything was just like super like here's an example, right? Let's say you're drawing somebody bent over. Whoops. Let's make a new layer here. So I'm gonna draw somebody kind of like maybe how some people might draw. They're kind of bent over. So I'll put like a big old, like chest here. I'm just going real quick here. I'm not trying to go for beautiful art, right? So have somebody like maybe bent over like this. Maybe he's had a long day at work or something, right? Maybe his head's down like that. That's great. But what cartooning teaches you, and this is just an example, this isn't the way. What cartooning teaches you is like, stop. Like, what I just drew here, the first one, to me is very how you break down each piece anatomically and start stacking what you've learned on top of each other. Cartooning is going to teach you something along the lines of this. What's the energy or the motion, right? So if he's coming home from a long day of work, you're just doing something like that, right? And then from here you start going, okay, well here's like, we start putting in a lot of the details. Maybe he's got like his feet coming back, right? And his hands are coming down here and his face is way down here, right? One of these tells a lot more emotion than the other, right? That the difference is, I find with version 1, this might be like a superhero style, like a generic superhero style. Number 2 is like very indie or cartoon style, right? Now, but what number 2 does is like, how do you get in between the two to get like a comfortable style? Because I find a lot of people, they like to be able to do cartooning stuff, but like nobody really walks like that, right? So they start to sway how they would draw towards number 1, and that's up to you. You got to find your style. You got to find what you like. If you like number 2, then go with it. Even though everybody else might be telling you that's not what a certain company might like or whatever, do what feels good for you and what's fun to do and what in my opinion, again, comics are super important for storytelling. Pretty pictures are great, but if they're not conveying a story to the best of your current ability, right? Everybody's learning at different stages, so you just got to learn your thing, do your thing, do you, and all that stuff, and it'll get there. I know there's a little wishy-washy of an answer, but I hope you got something out of that anyway. Nice flats, thank you, Cassidy. Appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. Stuart, hey John, first time logging in, long time fan. Oh, appreciate it, Stuart. A lot of new faces tonight. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Creeping out of the shadows. I appreciate it, you guys. Thank you. Andrew Loomis changed me too. Yeah, I think especially Loomis. A lot of people talk about Loomis. George Bridgman, somebody I think a lot of people should check out just for form. There's honestly a whole crap load of books you can read. I don't think anatomy books are something where it's like you're missing a certain. If you don't read this one person or this one guy or girl, that like you're screwed. There's just so much out there on the internet now. I think nowadays it's actually. I was gonna say it's silly that people complain with like I don't know how to draw anatomy. I don't know where to look for anatomy. You have the internet, right? But I think that is the problem sometimes too, where I think people get stuck with the fact that there's so many choices that it paralyzes you a bit from acting. I made a blog post about this a couple years ago on Facebook. I share it every now and then, which is like you should be drawing more than you're studying. Okay, so study is great. But the problem that I always had was especially once YouTube started coming around and the internet started picking up and all that cool stuff, was like since now I've got like this wealth of knowledge that's out there, it's super hard to like reel it back in and go, okay, just slow down and just draw what I like. It wasn't like that. It was always like, okay, well, I struggle with all this. I don't know. It just felt like information overload. There's so many things out there that can help you that it's almost addicting. I don't know if any of you guys feel like that. Like you can always look around and there's always something else out there that's going to help you. Right, Jesop? Yeah. Yeah. You talking smack, bud? Hey, Papa. Oh, what you doing, big guy? Oh, the big pets, huh? Oh, the big pets for the big boy. Okay. Let's get his little scar going here. Buy the book Force by Matesi, is that what it is? And you'll never understand. I think I've seen that book around. I don't think I've ever tried to pick it up. You like it? Is it a good book? I guess so. If you're recommending it, you consider it a good book. That's what I'm saying. There's so many different anatomy books out there that it's nice to just get a little flavor here and there, see what it is that kind of resonates with you a bit, you know. But as long as you're drawing more than you're studying, I think you're good. But you still have to make time to study. Just I know that might seem like a little like double speak. I think I'm going to just some stuff. Feed the soul, not the wallet when it comes out. 100%. Hey, Axelis? Is that your name? I like that. Mr. Turner, how are you, sir? How big is Jesop King going to be? Well, I have a... here, let me pull this up here. I'll show you. I believe he's 10 feet tall, right? That's what we... He's some enormous number that doesn't make any sense. Because I like the Hulk. I'll never draw the Hulk. But I enjoy the Hulk. So this was like a little style guide. So Jesop here is 10 feet tall. An average human here is like, let's say, 6 feet tall. We got the little Doblin characters, Tupo, which we were drawing, and then Momo. She's about the same size as a human. But that's the best part, and that's why I can't wait to like keep going with this story and wherever it goes. And I was talking to a friend about this a while ago when I was trying to figure out like the strategic move to like launch the crap. Just me getting in my own head and thinking of stuff, right? But one thing one thing that I read about when you're trying to tell story and stuff is you have to let people know what the rules of the world are. Because if you wait too long and you start throwing magic in there, let's just say it's like a crime thriller drama mafia movie, right? And the very end, like the 10-minute mark, the main character is cornered. There's nowhere he can go. There's nothing he can do. And then all of a sudden, he unlocks this ability to throw fireballs. Like, nobody's going to believe that shit. Right? Like, you just, it's so wild that it just doesn't make sense. So, somewhere along in the beginning, you have to show, like, magic exists. And then they'll at least suspend their disbelief, right? So, one thing I'm actively trying to do here, which is, I guess, kind of counter to that, which is whatever, is Jesop's the first human-looking person that you see in page 1, right? And I've purposely given him 3 fingers so that he's not human. And nobody's said anything yet. I know there's been a few people in the stream that, we joke back and forth and talk about it, but nobody's like that's reading the comic because it's still new, right? It's still baby. It's still in a baby step. It's still so fresh, but like nobody's noticed it yet, right? So the first time I show a human being or like a space human, I don't know what they're gonna look like yet. When you see Jesop next to him, it's gonna just be like, oh, holy shit, Because I'm putting him next to these characters. Like, what is this guy? What is this guy? This guy just looks like a giant, like the Hulk, I guess, or something, right? And he's with like this squid thing, right? So there's no actual context yet. But once a human shows up, that's when I can't wait because then it's holy shit. That'll be like to me anyway. I think it'll be a pretty cool thing. I forgot to add his little like yellow spikes. Oh, the scope of this. Let me just reread your question. I want to see how big is Jesop King going to be. Okay, I get. Awesome. So the way that I have it planned right now is all the way up till March, like the first weekend or the first week of March. Up until then, I'm just making content for the comic, and then I'm going to gauge whether I need to keep putting time into it. If it's getting any kind of fan base, just gauge how it's going. Am I still having fun with it? Is the number one thing. All that's to say, the intent of the story and stuff is it's episodic, I guess. Like each chapter can be. This one I think is around 50 pages. The next one is probably gonna be around 8 or 10. But they can jump at any size. They can be large stories, short stories, whatever. And I definitely want that to be the case. Now, saying all that, I do have like an arc that I would like to hit that's plot driven that I won't be able to hit within a year. It's just it involves too much. So we'll see how it goes. I have my angle that I'm doing this right now, and if I had to end it, I'd have to figure some creative way to I have two endings in mind already, right? One ending is if I get bored with this in a year, or if it just I haven't like it's staying the same amount of subscribers, after a year, then I'll look at like maybe pulling it or something, right? But I'll have two endings. In that case, there's that. The other ending is if I enjoy working on this and I keep working on it and I can't like I'm just having so much fun with it. If that's the case, then it's a larger narrative, and that's when stuff gets really fun. And that's the stuff I would love to get to, but if I put too much idea behind it, I get paralyzed to even start it. So, Stuart, I love your comic. Just trying my hand at it. Does coloring come easy for you? Thanks, buddy. No, coloring does not come easy for me. I've tried to do coloring for a very long time. Honestly, it's because of my day job that requires me to color that it's given me, like 4 years at that job where color is a prerequisite. uh, it was that allowed me to basically devote time into trying to understand color theory and color harmony and stuff like that. I'm still learning a whole bunch, and I'm cutting a lot of corners with the comic. But I know what you're saying. Like sometimes, like even flats and stuff, all this stuff, like it all has a part, a part to play. One thing I will say that'll just help people out in general. I think there's really two things I would say that help people out with coloring. Period. Okay. Besides, you have to put time in. 100%. It's like anything else. Okay, so there's two things with color here. Okay, let me just get this giant wheel here. So you guys can kind of see what the hell's going on. So the first thing that helped me big time when I started noticing I was getting better with color is when I used to color, everything was, I'm just going to use red as an example here. Everything was like either, okay, it's red or it's dark red or it's light red, right? That was pretty much the tones that I would go in. If you can imagine just like a square around here, there is so much range in here that you have to use if you want to get anywhere with art or with color, I should say, right? So like here's an example. Like let's just say we want to go with like, I don't know, I'm going to use this as my medium red, and then I'm going to go up here for my highlight red, and I'm going to come back down here for like a dark red. Do you see how just that alone? And look, if we sample, you can see where I'm at in this wheel. Whereas if we go over to this one, like it's so far off, it's crazy, right? So the idea here is to try to think, and I mean this wasn't necessarily a square that I used, but just trying to remember that there's a whole bunch of colors in here that you should and could use to give you range, because you might find yourself drawing and you're like, I need to get a brighter highlight or a shadow that makes sense, and I can't. Okay, so there's that. The other one is like, I think it's called hue shifting, and this one's like, I don't think it's appropriate for everything. I just like the way it looks. A lot of people use this, right? So we'll start with green here, okay? So I'll just pick like a mid-color green. So what you want to think about is your highlight and your shadow. Which one's warm, which one's cold, okay? It's a great way to think about it. So let's just try warm for this first one. Let me do two little squares here. Let's kill all this. So I'm going to make two little squares, bang, bang. Okay, so for this first one, we're going to go into the warm highlights. So what that means, hue shifting, is you shift the hue. So I'm going to go, don't go too crazy, just go this way. And then I'm going to like get a little brighter here. You see what I'm doing? And we're going to go over here, and we're going to go back and eye drop the main color we had, and then we're going to go in the opposite direction because the shadow, if we're going cool shadows, that's kind of into the blues and stuff, right? So same thing, we're going to go down, and we're going to come back down around here and go like this, okay? So that's a pretty nice range, kind of, right? So you have here, let's go with this green, and let's go with like a cool highlight. So we're going to come down here into the cool highlights, do the same thing, kind of come up here, go up there, grab that, and then we're going to get into the warm shadows. So we'll go over here and kind of bring it down. And I just want you to see, like, there's a different range. Now, usually the one on the left is like very video game-like, but they all have their place, and it's just that one little thing. So that's the two main things. One last one I'll add there as a bonus, I guess, is it's definitely a video game thing. Let me see if I can bring it in like a Photoshop way here, okay? So here's the square. A lot of you would probably use. Some of you don't like using this and stuff. Doesn't really matter. Let's try going into like, what do I want to say here? So let's just start here with like a purple, okay? I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do, I'm going to add just two highlights and two shadows underneath here real quick, okay? So imagine thinking of it like this. I'm all over the place. I apologize. I apologize, you guys. So here's the our color wheel, like the square. We're picking some color. I don't know. So we're starting around here. Think of it like an arc. You're going up and down. So you're one highlight here, the main color you got, one shadow here, one shadow there. Now these ranges can change, but if you kind of think like that, watch what happens. It's actually really cool. So we're going to pick this color. And we're going to go, I want warm highlights again, okay? So I'm going to kind of come up here. I'm just going to go, over here. And again, remember this angle. We're going back. So I'm going to go up because my angle is going this way, right? So pick that color. Then we'll keep doing it. We'll go to red. And then we're going to keep that angle going. And I'm being pretty generous with this arc that you can see here. But you're going to, hopefully you guys can see right away what happens. So we'll pick here. We're going to go down into the cooler shadows now. And again, remember this round shape. So I'm coming back down here. Just throw that in there. We're going to do it again. Go down to blue. Then I'm going to come down here. Like, doesn't that look nice? Doesn't that have like a nice rhythm to it? Right? Now we'll do the opposite. We'll go in the opposite direction here. Okay? So our highlights are going to be in the cooler areas. So we're going to go down here. And again, we're coming back up. Back down into blue. Coming back up. This is like cooler highlights. Then now we're going to go into the warmer shadows. We're going to come back down here. And you can see right away, well, I'm hoping you can see right away, how this starts to look a little bit more like maybe nighttime. Like a dusk kind of feel. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's really it. That a lot of what you do can be just around that. And then there's like little, like little tricks and stuff. But those little things I just told you have been tremendous for me at work, learning how this stuff works. Like we're not even getting into split complementary and all that crap. I don't want to get into that right now. I don't have time for it. But I recommend these guys spend some time just checking stuff out a little bit, getting your feet wet a bit, and just seeing where that that little rainbow takes you. Anyway, I got a whole bunch of pages we got to keep opening up here. All right, let's get this one. Okay, so we need the Pagargo. So this is the thing that they're in too, by the way, guys. It's like this slug creature, okay? So that's what this like. You'll see. We'll get there. I'll take you right to the flipping gold as well. Come, take my hand, everybody. We'll fly away. Alright, so we'll have this, and let's go a little darker here for this spine, protruding spine. That color explanation was awesome. Might be good for a patron. Whoop, 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 whoop. Alright, let's get this stuff. I hope this works out. Once we get this overlaying layer, should be interesting. If it doesn't, I gotta figure something out. Some creative solution. Alright, the moment of truth. Let's make a new layer, and we will color. Let's see how this goes. So I need this pink color here, and actually stop. Let's get the whole selection here, and we'll add this to it. Oops. Alright, so it's pretty much just like, whoops, just filling that, but this has to go over everybody. Let's see how this looks. Okay. And what we need to do is, it's basically just like lowering the opacity. Do you see what I'm kind of trying to do here? Where it's like we have to look through this, and it has to dilute the colors of the characters. But we're gonna have to play with some blending modes here to get like the color to work. Thank you so much for taking the time for the coloring tips. Hey, no problem. I hope it helped. Honestly, guys, look up hue shifting, I believe it's called. And if you're not finding something that looks cool, check out video game stuff like pixel art, hue shifting. That's where I learned a whole bunch of stuff. It's not even necessarily, like, we don't do pixel art at work, but, you know, there's just some cool stuff with that pixel artists are doing that really help, at least helped me kind of look at stuff a little different for color. Because color is tricky, man. Like, actually, this ain't bad. That's not bad at all. Because it still maintains the same pinkness, but... Let's see here. So hard light was that one. Let me look over here. Vivid light ain't bad either. We got choices. Hard mix. Ugh. Exclusion. Nope. Darker color. Nope. Lighter color might work. Nah. Hue. Saturate. No. Color. Color might be the best way to do it. Let me just lower the opacity just a bit. If we try that, let's grab our selection. Let's make another one. And we will use a gradient tool. Let's see if we can get like a little bit of a shine coming down perhaps. The last thing I'm gonna try here is, since we got like this line art that's here, this might actually just be the little icing that we need here. I'll show you. So since they're inside, the line art for this bubble, like watch, when I go like this, the line art turns in like that pink. But since they're in there, they should all have the same kind of treatment. There we go. Yeah, that's the stuff. Now we're talking. See that? Just turn these layers off and just kind of see what's... It's interesting. Either way, I can leave it for now, and then we can... There's still got to be some shadows and stuff that we got to work. Whoops. But anyway, that's the idea of that panel anyway. Sakura from Street Fighter. Okay, actually, the reason why he's got the red gloves is okay. So, primary characters and superheroes are usually blue, red, and yellow, right? Superman is 100% primary colors, 100%. The reason I went with red is if you look here on the, maybe you guys can't see it. Let's bring it back out. The color wheel. So what I decided to do was Jesop. I like blues in the characters, right? They just I don't know, it makes it seem more tranquil or just chill kind of thing. So Jesop's here, right? But usually I don't think you take skin color into account. So he's like a Caucasian kind of robot, right? So up in here is kind of where he's at. So I figured if I'm playing around here for the shades of Jesop, if you thought about it like a split complementary, like a red would kind of go into the blues and like the light blues, like this, right? Kind of around there. So that's why I picked red. Normally, I mean, like the other design I had, it was like this, and it was like yellow for his gloves and stuff. But the red, it did a couple of things. One, it helped with the complementary color for sure. But the other main thing is like colors also speaks in a language, right? And since he's a war machine, I figured his weapons, which you would think would be his fists, should be red. You know what I'm saying? Like just power. But the thing is, he's like the friendly giant. He's an a decommissioned war machine, right? He doesn't fight anymore. I don't even know when we're gonna have the first time he fights. Like, if you guys remember that one page we worked on, where all of a sudden he snaps and he's about to beat these guys up. The red is where your eye is going to go, and it's going right to these giant fists. And that's why I also wanted to go with the red instead of going to like yellow or something, right? That's the only reason I did it. It's a bold. Your eye immediately goes to it because everything else around him is just blue. It's a complementary color there. So that's one of the reasons I try to do that. Now, the understanding for that has taken a very long time. Color theory and stuff is still stuff I'm trying to get better at, and it's kind of an excuse for the comic that I get to experiment a little bit more with it, all that kind of crap. I can't wait for Zangief. I just made a tweet, man. Like, so the next patch comes out, what? April sometime, and then the new character comes out. And the thing is, with season 2, all these characters are brand new, right? So we're not getting like my brother loves Sagat, right? You ain't getting any Sagat in Street Fighter 5 this year. E Honda, I love E Honda. Not getting him this year. It's all like these new characters and stuff, so we'll see what's happening. But anyway, so Zangief's getting some buffs, my boy. As you can tell, I like Zangief, right? Look at Jesop. He's a mix between Zangief and like Mario. That's the way I try to look at it. But yeah, Sakura, a lot of people like her too. Just a different kind of Shoto. Okay. Where do I? It looks like a bubble. Yeah, it's kind of like a bubble here. If I show you what this is the creature that they're in. This little bubble sack at the top here. So Jesop's all beat up or whatever. This thing's coming out. This thing's called a Pagargo. I'm calling it. I don't know what the hell that means. Anyway, so they're in here, so that's why everything's kind of pink. They're stuck. It's basically like a moving prison. You can put them in there, and they can kind of, you know, they're on transport. They're in the paddy wagon. They've been naughty. There's just a lot of pink in these pages here too. I work at a company here in Windsor, Ontario called iDream Interactive. It's a small studio. We primarily make Facebook puzzle games, of all things, right? And I say it every time I talk about it. The style that I do it's different than I'd imagine what you're looking at anyway that I normally do. Like, this is not what I do at my day job. This stuff here. All right, let's go. Well, that might look nice. Whoops, what the hell's that? These freaking gradient tools, man. I'm used to the way Photoshop does this stuff. Alright, I want to go into like some sadness here. So let's go into like the purples, maybe a little desaturated dark purple. And make a new layer. Now we can try foreground of transparent. So I also want maybe Let's go over here and like the blue here and just keep it. I don't want any saturation here, so it's like devoid of color, you know? So it just kind of has that feeling of like misery. I hope. We'll see how it goes. Same with this one. This guy here, he's super sad. Looks like he's guilty. He's done something. Let's go color. Um, let's pick. Maybe I'm gonna pick the same color we kind of already were working with. I just want to go a little darker with it. The problem is it blends with his skin too much. Hmm. I'm gonna have to look into that one a little bit. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Pays the bills, yeah, sure does. Reuse your boy? Alright, I like it. Thanks, Cassidy. Appreciate you popping in. Good luck with your drawing. Good timing. Okay, give me 1 second here, guys. Got a phone call. John, by the way, what tool do you use to do the soft kind of shadows? It's a watercolor brush, of all things. I'll show it to you in a second here. So let me duplicate this. It comes standard with Manga Studio. If you don't use Manga Studio, you can just use like an airbrush. Okay, so what I do is it's actually pretty simple. Let me just finish this here. Okay, it's pretty simple. So what I'll do is, let's say I'll make a new layer, and I'm just gonna grab this, right? And let's just say this was my shadow. I do everything with cell shading for the most part because it's quick and simple. It's pretty effective, right? So we get that, and I'll just show you here. If you go over to whatever brush setting here is for watercolor, what you want is smooth watercolor, Smoth watercolor, and that's it. You basically just play around with it to kind of get the feeling for it, and you're just sort of blurring the edges, and then that's it. And then you get like this cool effect. You can use it wherever you like, yeah. So why I use it and why I like it is I was messing around with some of the settings here in Manga Studio, and I forget how or even why I looked into it, but it reminded me of back in the day when I used to look on the internet. And I'm talking like 1999, maybe 2002, around there. There's all these artists that were coming up, and they're like Japanese artists, Korean artists, Chinese artists, people I'd never seen before, but I love like Capcom art, right? And they were all using Corel Painter. I don't know if you guys even know what the hell that is. I don't even know if people still use that. But there was like these amazing watercolor textures in there, and I could never replicate it. Most likely just because I'm going to say I wasn't skilled enough. I didn't know why the hell I was using things. I was just doing it because I thought that's what you did to make a cool looking picture. But anyway, just use that. That's all you got to use. Comes with Manga Studio. It's free. Or let's do some plugin. It's plugin time. If you want to make it, I was gonna say make it easier on yourself, but that's a lie. That is a lie. If you're interested, you can sign up on my Patreon, and I offer a download to get all the brushes that I use when I'm making a Jesop King here. So if that's interesting to you, you can go there, check it out. All right, let's get these legs going. Miss anything? No. Cool. Euro, how's it going? Europa. Do you still use Photoshop for your comics? Manga Studio is enough. I think Manga Studio is enough for the average for the average person. Not that I'm above average, but for if you're just doing illustration, yeah, Photoshop does have some really neat. It's Photoshop, right? We all know what Photoshop can do. But to answer your question, I do Jessup. The only time I'm trying to think, the last time I was actually in Photoshop, I use Photoshop for like editing images for the most part. Kind of like on YouTube here, the little thumbnail images I'll have for videos. Those are all made in Photoshop. I'm pretty sure you could just do it here in Manga Studio as well, but Photoshop just has like, I don't know. It's an editing tool, right? So there's a lot of things that I find a lot easier in Photoshop, mostly because that's what I grew up using. So it's still very familiar to me. Um, but yes, I think you can do everything you need to make a comic book right in Manga Studio. And the cost, in my opinion, is like super cheap compared to other software, especially for what you're getting. But if you do use Photoshop and you're comfortable with Photoshop, I wouldn't necessarily say you have to leave. You don't have to switch. I just recommend people, if they find that they don't like the line art that they get in Photoshop, to try Manga Studio, because in my opinion, the lines that you get in Manga Studio are far superior than Photoshop. On average, that's usually what I hear from people as well. So I'm just mirroring what I hear other people say. And one more question: will you critique stuff in the near future? You're the first person to ask in a long while. I sort of just stopped even addressing it. I want to say yes, but it's tough, to be honest. I'm you know what it is? I'm being super selfish this year, and meaning, and not that I don't want to help people or anything like that at all. That I feel like I do help people out, but I'm just being super selfish for this year to just do Jessup and grow my content, like my comic book. Um, so how what that has to do with anything? Who cares, right? The reason I'm saying that is because the difference in my brain that I have to keep remembering is I only have, and this is true, I only have so much time in a day to do stuff, right? And even though it might only be an hour show of critiques, and it's super fun, I enjoy the hell out of it. It's refreshing too. It puts me on the spot, and I have to like kind of remember things or see. Oh Jesus, I'm giving horrible advice here because it's been so long since I've looked at something like that, right? It's all great, but that hour is taken away from me making this, and to me it's special, and I understand it's always going to be that way just because it's mine, right? So it's kind of like I have to, when I give time, it has to be more important than my own comic book. You know what I'm saying? And that's where it's weird. It's weird for me because when people usually want help, I try to give it as much as I can, primarily with art. Other things, I usually just tell people to go screw off. You need a ride somewhere, fuck off. But if you need help learning how to color or something like that, I might be able to show you something to help you out. I'm all for that. I'm pro artist. What can I say? So anyway, to answer your question, I'm gonna say no right now. There's no intent on going or doing anything. If that's not to say it won't happen, but there's zero plans right now. Like I'm not even considering it. I feel like I've just got so many other things to do that might be able to provide um, better value. Now, on the flip side to that, here we go. If you go to Patreon, I do offer like a 1 hour like critique session, coaching session, talking session, whatever you want to do. You just want to talk to me, you want to show me some stuff, get some stuff critiqued or whatever like that. You get me for a whole hour. I think it's $30. And so you can get that for a month. You get one little session, then you can cancel your subscription or whatever. Uh, if you get what you want from me, or you can renew it, and I can kind of help you out in the next month. That's about the only thing I currently have going on, critique wise. But anyway, I know it was really long way there. Hey, how's it going, man? Well, thank you, Nimrod. So Nimrod there, he's being very generous with his comment. He and I have had many one-on-one Patreon sessions, so always fun. So thank you anyway for the kind words there, bud. And 1 second, I'm gonna get gross on you guys here, since we're in the plugging mood here. Where is this here? All right, cool. So we're gonna go over here. So we got some prints for sale, guys. That's just gonna stay on the screen for a little bit. If you guys are interested, head on over to my website, get yourself a print if you like, and if not, would be really cool is if you could share it with your buddies. If you think it's worth sharing, anyway. If there's like something there you dig, or you think one of your buddies might like something, sharing it would be just as good as if you were buying something. I appreciate it. Also, I just made a post online to the Doctor Strange 11 by 17 gray wash that we did the other day. That's up on Etsy as well. So if anybody is interested in picking that up, you also get a free print with it. So you get to pick any of the prints that I currently got in the store, and I can ship that with it for free with you guys as well. Yeah, you're welcome. No problem. Anybody else, if you guys got questions, you can just throw them out. Don't worry about it. It's fun. It spices it up. Oh, they might be. I hope they arrive all right. I sent them to whatever address you gave me there, pal. All right. No, you know what, Michael? I've actually, reading something I would like to. I want to get back into doing more of, but I don't know. It's like I'm not. I feel like I don't have time to read. As sad as that is, like, but not in a bad way. Like, I don't even know what the hell I'm saying. I would like to read more. I'm not making the time to do it. If I get free time, it's like, yeah, let's do some Jesop or something. Like let's make some comics and do that stuff. Like that's one of the things that I'm noticing is like now that I know that I don't have an ending for this. Not that I don't have an ending, but I don't know when the ending is or when we'll hit that ending for this comic. It's like the pressure's on to just it's continual work for a while, for a year for sure, hopefully longer than that too, you know. And it's like, okay, well, what does that mean? What do you do in your downtime then, right? Everybody's got something to do. Well, I don't know. Usually my downtime mostly is like, as sad as it is, it's like I'll just like watch YouTube videos or Judge Judy or hang out with friends and, well, not friends. I don't have any friends, but family, girlfriend, brother, you know, go see my dad, that kind of stuff. But everything else is pretty much just draw. You know, I don't know. Not that it's a bad thing. I'm not trying to say like I'm not asking for sympathy or anything stupid like that. It's just before I was doing this stuff, I was doing client work, right? And client work is different than personal stuff, and that's something I need to figure out a balance to make because I know this could easily start getting out of hand. Because it's not that I'm putting in long hours right now. I am because I got to catch up here, but like it's pretty easy going this stuff right now. But when I was doing client work, it's like, okay, well, you just have to hit certain deadlines, and as long as that's all I was doing, I was okay. You know, if that meant all I had to do was a cover today or like a part of a cover today, then that gave me extra hours at the end of the day to just do whatever. It's fine. You know, I'm still getting paid for it, and all that stuff. But when you're doing your personal stuff, it's different. It's totally different. I don't know. You know what I might start getting into? Like audiobooks. Audible is always something that's on the back of my mind. I want to look a little bit more into it. I just feel like, is anybody here that uses Audible? Let me know your experience, because to me, one of the thing that keeps making me pull me back the other way is like, I feel like audio or Audible is like a rip off. Like how much is it a month? I don't know. Let's say it's $15. I don't even know if that's true. I'm just gonna use that. So $15 a month. It means you get one free book a month. I believe, is that right? Or it's $20 or something Canadian, 20 or 30 might even be. So that lets me get one book a month. But that's not really where they make their money. They make their money off of the fact that, well, since I'm an Audible member or subscriber or whatever the hell, that I get discounts off other books. So that means I'm going to be spending more money there, and I don't want to be spending money. Not saying that I should be getting or that I want all this stuff for free. I'm not saying that at all. But like when the books are so much cheaper than the audio, and I know why. You got to hire somebody, you know, to like read them. I understand all of that. I get it. I get it. I don't know. I always feel like since I can buy the book for cheaper, I'd be better off doing that. But then that's where the catch 22 kind of comes in, you know, where it's like, okay, that's great, but you don't make time to read, so you just don't read anything, and that's not good. Where do I make my prints at? My prints, right now, the current batch that I use are just at Staples. I've gone through a few batches to try to get like the paper quality and stuff good that I enjoy. Let me turn that off. I forget that it's still on. Sorry, guys. So yeah, so that's all going. I want to look. There's some local printers that do stuff as well, and I want to try to check them out in the next batch of prints we do this year as well. See how that works. Um, so you use colors as some kind of language, red for power, aggressive, but do you use them in order to suit the composition of your picture? Well, that's just it. Color here. Let me pause it here because I'll show you guys something. Let me open up my Evernote. I know I saved this because I want to show you something, and it's, you know, colors. It's a whole different thing in and of itself. You can have colors that'll make you feel fear. You can have colors that work well to show love. All those things, right? And it's storytelling. So I saw this. You guys may have seen it. A lot of people share this thing or things like this around on Facebook, especially. I hope I have it. There it is. Cool. Okay. Good old Evernote for the win. Okay, so here, let me try to. Can I go to the website? Okay, here. It was on Comic Alliance. So here, let me put it over here so you guys can see it. I'll post it in the chat. There you go. Okay, so this is like, this is stuff to always look at, and they're just showing you, right? Like, let me get my mouse cursor here. So here's some colors here with primary heroes. This is part one. There's like multi-part here, right? So if you look at these characters, these are like all primary characters. They're all usually heroes here, right? The only example or exception here is Thanos. He's got some purple in him, but they explain that a little bit later, right? So you got your Superman, your Captain America, everybody. They're all the primary colors, right? Red, blue, and yellow. If you go down here, here's some examples here. So red usually means bold, energetic, passion, determination. Orange, enthusiasm, potential, heat, humor. Yellow, attentive, safety, energy, ostentatious. Green, nature, growth, safety, harmony, mysticism. Blue is depth, stability, wisdom, trust, and confidence. Purple, royalty, wisdom, hands-off, creativity. Black is mystery, elegance, possible menace, eternal. White is spacious, eternal, pure, and sterile. Brown is grounded, earth, dirty, gritty. Gray, ambiguous, smoky, mechanical, cold. Pink, childhood, flesh, femininity. So it's like this is just an example of those things that these are like emotions and feelings that those colors can pull out. Not that this is the definitive one. I've seen other lists with different words in these places, but it's cool because like if you're looking, right, like let's just go with Jesop here. So he's like shades of blue. He's got a little bit of white. It's like a whitish blue. Things are getting deteriorated there, and then he's got the big red, right? So the blue: depth, stability, wisdom, trust, confidence, spacious, eternal, pure, sterile, and then bold, energetic, passion, determination. So it's fun because if you want to make a character and you don't know where to go, you can kind of look at these colors and go like, I would like my character to represent Earth and stuff like that, right? And you can see if any of these kind of keywords come up. So anyway, let me just scroll down here. Oh, this isn't. Oh man, okay. There's another one that's better than this one. Do we have? Let me see if there's like a. All right, let's do it this way. Paste. No. Seriously. Right, back all this way. So we're going to superhero color theory part 2. Darkness and light. I guess we can try that. Let's try this one, see if this was. So there's a whole lot of color. Okay, here we go. So now we go into the secondary characters, right? So purples and greens. You can see right away, like all these kind of characters that start popping up. Galactus, hell yeah. A lot of villains you can see are kind of like on this side of the spectrum. Sentinels. Here you go. You get some earth colors, green, yellow. This is split complementary, so it's you pick a color like let's say red, and then you go across and you kind of tilt it a little bit like that. So purples. Let's go here. Let's check out this one. Darkness and light. So here we're just going black and white and red, I guess too. But anyway, these are great things to read because it just helps you. It helps you look at things a little different than you might currently be looking at it for color anyway. So check that stuff out. Hey Karen, how's it going? Audiobooks. My local library system lets you check out audiobooks as free as part. You know what? You were 100% right. The reason I started reading was a guy that doesn't work with us anymore. But when we used to have our lunches, I remember he would eat his lunch and then he'd either go to the park or he would just start reading on lunch. And I was like, man, I want to be that guy. I want to be like that guy. And he'd always read, like, usually from an e-reader, and I'm like, yeah, like, I like digital stuff. E-readers, not that e-readers are cool, but I could read it anywhere, like, just whatever. You know how tech goes. We all convince ourselves that we need it. Right. Anyway, so I'm looking at that, and it was all cool, and then I just, on a limb, I'm like, I'm going to pick one up. So I picked one up, and I never really used it. Eventually, I started using it more and more, and I read a book that he recommended called Mistborn. It was a Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. It's a fantasy novel. I highly recommend it if you guys like fantasy. And that was it. I was like, I'm hooked. And then I just started reading. And I noticed like a lot of like positive things coming from it. Like I felt better reading. I felt not like superior, but I felt like I was in a knowledge club of people that were like, I don't know what it is, something with reading. Maybe you guys let me know if if I'm alone on this or if you guys feel slightly the same too, where it's there's so much knowledge out there and in books and all that stuff that it's just like I don't know. It's continual information and it was great. And for art, it was amazing because I was getting I had to it almost brought me back to being a kid. I would read something like let's say Mistborn, and they would talk about characters flipping through the city and um, trying to pick up like what's it called? They would do these things. I forget what it was called, but they would flip little pieces of metal, and what they could do is they could also pick up metals, right? So little like light blue tethers would go around from metal sources. So what they could do is they could push and pull off of these metal things, right? So imagine somebody jumping off of like a wall and they're falling down and they can sense that there's a like an oven or something on a second floor. As they fall down, they could push themselves off of that or they could pull themselves closer to it. And it just what it did was it made me again, like I'm saying, activate that part of my brain that was like, holy shit, I have to like come up with this stuff. And as an artist and all that, like that's a muscle that wasn't exercised for a very long time. If you're into concept art, I think that like if you're in concept art, you're using that muscle a lot because you have to create things that don't exist, based off of like an idea. And it's a great example. And once I started thinking of it like that, let's just hammer out books, man. I was like anything I get on my hands on. And then eventually I started getting into like self-help books or trying to get into not just fiction. Let's get into nonfiction as well and go down those roads as well. Oh, is there no sound? I hope there's sound. Should be sound. Yeah, no, you're okay. So Michael summed it up a lot better than like how I was struggling to sum it up. You're expanding your range of perspective by ingesting others' views and imaginations. 100%. Thank you for so eloquently putting that together. So the audiobook stuff. Anyway, Karen, just to go back, thank you for bringing that up because I had forgotten. You are 100% right. Yes, you can go to the public library and you can even. It's just digital, right? You can just digitally request it, and then when you're next in queue, you get like a timed download or something. I believe that's how it works here, at least in Ontario. I'll have to check that out. Because it's free, right? There's no reason not to at least check it out. Because I feel like I'm missing something. That's something I want to get back into doing more of. A buddy of mine, he hooked me up with like all the Harry Potter. I haven't read. I read the first Harry Potter. It was okay, but he said it gets better, and he hooked me up with all like the audiobooks and stuff. And I tell you guys, for all of you guys out there that listen to music and you don't like to read, I'd recommend just like hardcore it and try to go through like I don't know, like listen to The Hobbit or something. Listen to like a smaller book or something, and just put it on in the background and just give it a shot. You might be pleasantly surprised at like what you get out of it. It's like they call it in the concept world, your visual library, and you got to keep putting stuff back inside of your head. You know, you can only draw a castle so many different ways. And when your castles all start looking the same, it gets boring, and people don't like looking at boring. So imagine this tragedy, right? You spend all your days getting better at drawing, technically, right? And then you start to go out and you into the real world, and you're like, I want to draw for people, and make money off of it. And the sad part, this isn't for everybody, but what if you did all that, and then what happens is your stuff is boring. Your castles look just like everybody else's castles. You just can draw a castle really well, but there's no imagination in it. Have you ever looked at like a movie or something, like an older movie? And let's just say they have creatures in it, and the creatures just look so stale. Like there's just no character in them at all. And then you watch something else, like another sci-fi movie or something, where the characters are just so like. A video game that comes to mind is like Mass Effect, especially Mass Effect 2. Just like I've seen sci-fi done to death, I think we all have, but there's still little treasures in there. And yeah, so you see Mass Effect and you see these aliens and they all make sense and they've got like world building and stuff, and you're just like, you got to tap into something like that. It's the only way that you'll be able to like break out of the mold. And like to translate that back to like, let's say you want to work for a Marvel DC or something like that. Everybody draws Spider-Man like Spider-Man, right? So what's your unique flair on it? And sometimes It's just how you draw anatomy, and then a lot of the times it's how you pose him, how you compose like interesting shots, you know, how your imagination tackles like a question. And if you're not flexing those muscles, like you know what I associate like learning anatomy to like studying for a test. So we look at anatomy, we try to study it, you do all that crazy stuff. You're studying anatomy, you're getting better at it, you're getting better at it. And then whenever you need to draw anatomy, you just, you know, reach back in your brain, you're like, okay, I remember it drawn this way. Right? And that's great. But the problem then becomes like, okay, so you compose a scene, like a story, and you make me interested to read that story. What's unique about how you tell a story compared to somebody else? That's when shit gets real. That's when it's like if you've got nothing to pull from, your stuff is looking stale, and sadly, it just becomes forgettable. And the tragedy there is you spend so much time drawing that it becomes forgettable. Ugh, imagine that. Yuck. Joseph Campbell on mythology. That's great stuff. Yep. Thanks. I like audiobooks too when I'm drawing. Usually I listen to classics read by people who do it for free. Lately I've been listening to Lovecraft's book. Well, thank you guys for bringing that back up. I'm going to have to... Actually, here, let me make a note in Todoist here. Look into audio books from library. Cool. Thank you guys. Constant. Alright, we're almost done here. Then we can finally go to bed. Oops. Oh, did the stream die? Looks like it's moving on my side. Just let me know, guys. If it died, you wouldn't be able to tell me. Okay, good. Thank you guys. Alright, so this last panel I thought I would do, we're going to get real cheesy. Alright, so we got the pink here. What we're going to do is we're going to put some hearts. Make him feel loved. I just gotta be careful we don't go into the same color as Jesop's hand. Now they're best buddies. So stupid. John, if given a chance, would you love to work on a Conan comic? He's right up there with the big dude. Yes and no. I mean, I like Conan, but I've never really read any of the stuff. I've seen the movies, but it's not. I don't know. I don't have like an attachment to the character. I know some people they really dig, Conan. I think the concept of Conan the barbarian part is really cool, but uh, like I never grew up with Conan the Barbarian, so I have no real attachment to him. And the idea of just drawing like I don't know. Besides Ninja Turtles, there's really nothing that's a licensed property that I'm really driven to like one day that'd be sweet to get. Like if I never worked on anything but a Ninja Turtle book, I would be content. Currently, things can always change, right? But that's just current. Okay, so I think we're done with this one, and we finished this one, and we're gonna do the shadows tomorrow, and then that should be it. They should be done. Let's give my eyes a chance to look at these fresh tomorrow and all that cool stuff. But anyway, thank you guys so much. I am going to say goodbye. And I appreciate your guys' time and hanging out with me tonight. I hope you guys had a good time. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. If I don't stream tomorrow, regardless, we're going to keep working on Jesop King stuff, so you guys look forward to that. There's going to be some videos that I'll be putting up of the streams that we did before, in case you missed those, especially the, what's it called? The Gwen Stacy gray wash that we did, okay? So you guys will, if you can look forward to that if you're into that. Using actual gray wash and real tools and stuff. That was kind of fun. There's two videos coming out. One of them is like the full stream, so you can watch me slowly do it and ramble if you're into that. The other one's like a condensed. I think I got it down to like 10, 20 minutes of rambling still, but it's a sped up video and narrated over top, so you might dig that as well. Okay. So anyway, thank you guys so much. I will talk to you guys during the next stream. Until next time, keep reading comics, keep making comics. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.